Hello everyone, my name is Noema Tiaras. I am TGT Social Science at Kendra Vidyalaya Imphal number 2. Today I am going to teach a topic from the class 7 history chapter number 1, and the name of the chapter is tracing changes through 1,000 years. So let's start the chapter. So at the beginning we're going to start from the one term, that is cartographer. So let's see what is the meaning of cartographer, or who are the cartographer. Okay. So first one, let's see first statement, a person who makes map. Okay, that means a cartographer are those person who make map. Okay, or we can simply say that a person who draw the map, they are called as the cartographer. Second, some famous cartographer are Al-Idrisi, Farmuro, and Eratosthenes. The last one, that Eratosthenes, he is regarded as the father of geography. Okay, but here in this picture, this map is drawn by the Al-Idrasi in the 1154, and one important point of this map is that here in the top we are going to have the south. Okay, and in the down we are going to have the north, but usually in the Norman map we have the north in the upper portion and the south in the lower portion, but that is in the downside. Okay, but it is upside down, and they usually used to draw like this. Okay, then now let's come to the next topic, new and old terminologies. Okay, so let's see what it is. The content in which the information is produced changes with the time. So here what they are saying is that any content or any term or the meaning of any that term used to be changed with the time. Okay, now let's see by taking a one example about the Hindustan. After that I am going to explain further into that statement. So how the context, okay, how the context of the any information, or how the meaning of the any term going to be changed with the time. So let's see the example, that is Hindustan, how the meaning of the Hindustan going to be changed. So first of all, today we understand it as a India, the model nation state. Okay, if today we talk about the Hindustan, that it means the India, it is a nation state. Okay, the whole India we're going to be called as a Hindustan, okay, in today's days. But in the 13th century, the meaning of this Hindustan was different. Let's see how it was different. Okay, how much it was different. In the 13th century, by the Milhar E. Shiraz, a chronicler who wrote in Persian, he means the area of the Punjab, Haryana, the land between the Ganga and the Yamuna. Okay, so in the 13th century, if we talk about the Hindustan, then it was the land that include the Punjab, Haryana, and the land between the Ganga and the Yamuna. Okay, it was the meaning of, or the context of the Hindustan during that time, that is in the 13th century. Then now let's come to the third one, that come to the in this let's come to the 16th century. Okay, what was the context of this, or what was the meaning of the Hindustan in the 16th century? In the early 16th century, Babur used Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna, and the culture of the inhabited of the subcontinent. Okay, so Babur used this word Hindustan to describe the geography, the fauna, and the culture of the inhabited of the subcontinent. Okay, so it is a meaning of the Hindustan during the 16th century. Okay, then in the Roman number 2 we have already learned that in the 13th century it was different, and in the present day it have a different meaning. So like this, the context of the that term, or the that point, or we can say as a that term. Okay, the context of the that information, or the context of the that term was used to change with the time. Again, let's see in with the one term, that is a foreigner, how the meaning of this word foreigner was been different in the medieval period and present day. In present day, okay, if we use the word foreigner, that means the people that coming from the other country. Okay, we used to call them foreigner. But during the time of the medieval period, the meaning of the foreigner was slightly different. Okay, let's see what was the meaning of the word foreigner during the time of the medieval period in India. In the medieval period, a foreigner was any stranger who appeared, say, in a given village, someone who was not a part of that society or culture. Suppose let's take an example about one small village. Okay, then who are the foreigner to that village, that villager? Okay, The foreigner meaning the any person that is coming from outside that village. Okay, maybe same country but outside that village. Any person that is coming or any stranger that is coming coming from outside the village, they used to call them foreigner. And in the city also almost similar, okay, meaning during that time, like a city dweller therefore might have regarded a forest dweller as a foreigner, but two peasants living in the same village were not foreigner to each other, even though they might have different religion or caste background. Okay. In the second point, what they are saying is that even the people that living in the city, they used to call Adivasi people that coming from the forest or from outside the city, okay, as a foreigner. But any two people, they're living in the same village, and but they are having a same different religion or different caste background. So suppose one is a Brahman high caste, another one is a Dalit, that is a low caste, but they are not foreigner to each other because they are living in the same village. But if the any person, okay, any person that is coming outside coming from outside that village or from the outside the city, they used to call them foreigner during that time. Okay, now let's see this topic, that is a historian and their source. Okay, we have talked about that Hindustan, we have talked about the foreigner. Then that question arises: how did we know about this? How the historian come to know about this? That the context about this foreigner or the context about the Hindustan was different during this different time. How did they come to know? They come to know from the different source. Okay, then now let's see what are that different source. First one, first point saying that a historian use a different type of resources to learn about the past depending upon the period of their study and the nature of their investigation. Okay, so the historian use a different type of source. From there, they come to know that what was the thing that used to do, or what was the activity they used to do during that time. Okay, then the second point, they rely on the coin inscription, architecture, and a textual record for the information. So they rely on the coin. From the coin, they came to know many things. Inscription also, architecture, and the textual record for the information. And the last point, manuscripts were collected by the wealthy people, ruler, monastery, and a temple. They were placed in the library and the archive. That last one, last point in this, that point number 2, this last word, that is the textual record. Okay, the word that I am circling, the textual record, it is related with this manuscript. Okay, manuscript is the book that is written by the hand. So manuscript were collected by the wealthy people, that is a rich people, ruler, king, monastery, and a temple. There is a people that is walking in the temple, okay, or in the religious places, okay. They used to keep this book, and this book are kept in the library or sometime in the archive also. Okay, then it is the last point, last topic of today's video. There is a difficulty historian face in using the manuscript. But the historian, okay, they face some difficulty in the interpreting that manuscript. Now let's see what are that difficulty that face in the manuscript. First one, that is, as a scribe copy manuscript, they also introduce small changes, a word here and a sentence there. Okay, I in the early that previous slide, I already told you that the manuscript or that book that is written by the hand. So here what going to do is a person going to copy that book from the original one. So the person that copying that data, they make a slight some mistake or some slight changes, and that slight changes, okay, going to be become a difficulty to the historian, because that changes, okay, if suppose two person are copying, and one person copy the year, say suppose 1100, then another one copy that 1200, okay, then 100-year gap is arise. So the historian will be finding difficulty that when was that person become the king. One going to written as 1100, another one going to written as a 1200, then that difficulty arise. Okay, we did that changes. Then second one, the small difference grew over centuries of copying until the manuscript of the same text became substantially different from one another. Okay, it is related with that first one. There is that mistake. Okay, that mistake of in the copying, one person written as 1100, another one 1200. That mistake is suppose from the that two book, another two person going to be copied. What the person that is copying from the that 1100 going to written 1100. The person that is copying from the that 1200 going to written 1200. Then there is a vast difference going to become. So like that, some of the manuscript, okay, they have some vast difference. Of course they written from they copy from the one that original manuscript, but the person that is copying that manuscript, they make the mistake, and from that mistake that difficulty arise, okay, or some difference arise. And the third problem is that this is a serious problem because we rarely find the original manuscript of the author today. Okay, of course, the problem here, the third one is saying that we do not have this one chances or high chances of finding that original one. Okay, if we find the original one, then we can solve that difference. But if we do not find that original one, then we have to rely on that book that is somehow some mistake is there. Okay, so this is some problem faced by the historian in using the manuscript. Okay, look at here. This is a picture of a scribe making a copy of manuscript. Here a person is going to make the manuscript or copy that from the original one. This is the original one. Okay, here I am writing O, and this is the copy. Okay, and suppose if the person makes some mistake here during the time of the copying, then that mistake the historian going to find a difficulty. And I suppose if they did not find that original one, then the historian has to rely on that copy there where there is already have the what mistake. And look at here, this is the handwritten manuscript. Okay, look at the handwriting. It is very difficult to understand this handwriting, what they are writing, and the style of the writing. Look at here, it is not convenient. Okay, it is very inconvenient for any historian to understand what they are writing, because the style of writing and the way of writing is very, it is not very nice. Okay, that's why it is very difficult for a historian to understand the manuscript. So here we have finished. So let's come to the homework. Here we have a three question. First one, who was considered a foreigner in the past? So I have a one slide regarding this question. Okay, about the foreigner, who was considered as a foreigner in the village as well as in the city. Okay, you have to write about that both, but don't write about the present day. It is you have to write about the past. During the past, who are considered as the foreigner. Then the question number 2, that is, in what way has the meaning of the term Hindustan changed over the century? So you have to write about that 3 points. First one about the present day, second about 13th century, and then last about the 16th century. Okay, I'm not going to mention all the that what was the meaning, what was considered in this present day and in 13th century and the 16th century. You have to read it. Okay, I have a different slide about that one. Then the last question, what are the difficulty historians face in using the manuscript? It is a very simple, I think. Okay, I have a different slide, one slide for the difficulty faced by the historian in using the manuscript. Okay, that remember about that mistake made during the time of copying. Okay, and that changes. And the last one you have to write about the original copy, unavailable of that original copy. Okay, so that 3 point you have to write. So here we have finished part 1. Thank you everyone.